Tyson, my God, this is fight hype. What you think of that, Mike?
Man, it was
Jake
crazy.
knockout?
It was crazy. It's what I thought it was going to be. Right, Mike Perry's tough, and I thought it was going to take a while to get the knockout, but I thought he was going to get the knockout.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Yeah.
So obviously Jake's got Mike Tyson coming up in November.
Crazy.
How do you think that fight goes, man?
Man, I think it's a tough fight early for him, right? Mike is still Mike Tyson, and he's older, but so it's only going to last for so long, right? So if he can take him into deep water, I think maybe he can edge out the decision.
No doubt. You just had a big win, beat Danny Jacobs.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, Danny just retired, but obviously a huge win for you.
Absolutely.
What's next, man? There's a lot of people in your division. There's belts.
Man,
You've done the work.
I want the belts. If I could get them, Lara. That's who I want, right? The best. He's the best right there with the biggest name in my division. Why not him?
Let's go.
But if it has to be Carlos Adames or Janabek, or if Janabek goes up, what happens?
Yeah, it definitely was. Haley, how does it feel to have all this fame and this short? Hold on. Tell us again, what did you think about this fight?
That was good shit right there.
There we go. Haley, 3 weeks, 2 million Instagram followers. How crazy does it feel? Yeah, you've been everywhere, huh?
Yeah.
No doubt. What can we see from you next, Haley?
Huh?
What can we expect from you next?
It's
It's a surprise. Can we get one? Can we get one?
Now let's come to what other boxers think about Jake versus Mike fight. Paul seems to be keenly aware of the gamble he is making by fighting Perry, who has developed a reputation as one of the world's fiercest bare-knuckle fighters through his UFC exploits.
So, he's funny and all that, but there is bad blood, and Saturday night I'm going to end him.
And although his focus is firmly on Perry, Paul understands that he is putting himself in some danger ahead of receiving the biggest paycheck in his life this November. A lot of people think I'm crazy for pivoting to this. Why Mike Perry? Why now? Why take the risk? You could lose the biggest payday of your life against Mike Tyson. If you lose to Mike Perry, who is a violent killer, a bare-knuckle, undefeated legend over there. Paul told DAZN in a new interview.
Been on a terror. He's in his prime. Make no mistake. He's undefeated in bare knuckle.
He takes punches like they're nothing. He's fast, athletic, he hits hard, he's a brawler, and I can't take that lightly. This whole thing is a risk. I'm focused on July 20th. I'm focused on Mike Perry, and being in that mindset will lead me to victory. Paul has told DAZN and ESPN's Pat McAfee show the same thing. If he loses to Perry, the Tyson fight isn't going to happen.
He's beaten some legends, and that's great, but they're not me. They don't.
This whole entire thing is a giant risk, Paul said. I'm focused on July 20th, I'm focused on Mike Perry, and just being in that mindset is what will lead me to victory. So why is Paul choosing to fight Perry, who boasts a perfect 5-0 record as a bare-knuckle fighter? One word, showmanship.
They don't know how to box. They don't have my power. So Mike Perry's saying he's in his prime.
I need the experience. I need to stay active. I fear no man. I'm ready anytime, any place, anyone. And I truly back that up with my action. I'm here to become world champion. I've done everything else I wanted to do in boxing. I've exceeded my expectations, so that's my last goal. I will be the cruiserweight world champion, Paul explained to DAZN. It's not something I just say walking around. I'm just down to freaking fights and I love performing.
I'm out.
What do you make of his pressure?
I think his pressure is, a lot for someone to handle if they...
Paul understands the bet he's making and how easily it could backfire and set his boxing career back. The former YouTube star is going forward with it anyway, and it remains to be seen whether he can ward off Perry's challenge on Saturday night.
They don't know what they're doing, but he's not a good pressure fighter. People don't know how to take away.
Perry was somewhat undersized in the 170-pound UFC welterweight division and has been competing in the bare-knuckle fighting championship between 175 and 185 pounds.
And I'm taking home Jake's head. Let's go. Can we see that chain? What? Oh, man.
The Paul fight is scheduled to take place in boxing's 200-pound cruiserweight division, with Paul having bulked up to well over 200 pounds in anticipation of his fight with Tyson. But he once again had to acknowledge that if anything goes awry, his fight with Tyson that is expected to be a blockbuster live on Netflix on Nov 15 might be out the window.
Yeah, no, he's doing good. He's back to training. He was concerned with me taking this fight. He's like,
November 15th, Tyson is still in Dallas, Texas. Get through this one. I'm focused on this one, Paul said on the Pat McAfee show about being double booked. Mike Perry's not a joke, and it is a big risk because if I lose this one, obviously the Mike Tyson fight goes away. So there's a lot at stake here, and that is creating a bit of pressure to deal with, but I usually thrive the best under high-pressure situations. Tyson had to postpone his fight with Paul at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, after the boxing legend had an ulcer flare-up.
like, what is Jake thinking? This guy, Mike Perry's a killer.
Why Mike Perry? Why now? Why not just wait? What about Mike Tyson? Yes, I am still fighting Mike Tyson Nov 15, Paul said on his YouTube channel when he announced the fight. However, Mike Tyson is one of the baddest men on this planet. He has way more experience than me, he's a killer, and so why not gain more experience against another notorious known killer, Mike Perry? The bare-knuckle legend, the man that can't be knocked out, the vicious, violent brawler.
So he has some concerns, but Tyson, my message to you is...
This guy is a freaking lunatic. He's undefeated in bare knuckle, which is probably the craziest sport in the world. Not to mention, this fight has been brewing for years. I think this fight is going to have some amazing press conference moments and really entertaining stuff that comes from it, but it is a major risk. I'm literally potentially sacrificing the biggest moment of my career, the biggest payday of my career if I lose to Mike Perry. But for some reason, these are the positions that I like to put myself in.
Don't worry, I'm going to put this guy to sleep. This is a Mike appetizer, and then you're next.
This means Paul will come into the fight with a 3-inch height advantage as well as an edge in weight and strength. For all of the talk of Perry's devastating striking, the final 10 fights of his MMA career came without Perry scoring a stoppage and with a 3-7 record. Perry has 3 straight technical knockout wins in BKFC, but those have largely been the product of his bare-knuckle punches causing significant facial damage. In his most recent fight, Perry dropped 40-year-old Thiago Alves near the 1-minute mark of the opening round, and while Alves was able to beat the count, the fight was waved off as the referee didn't deem him fit to continue. Boxing gloves and different rule sets will make it harder for Perry to land punches, while also rendering those punches less impactful than in bare knuckle or MMA. Against a significantly larger man with more experience training for pure boxing, Perry's power may play far less of a role than many think. This boiled down to the fundamental differences between bare knuckle and traditional boxing.
I've got 30 professional fighters.
You're 0-1 as a boxer, and you're telling me
That's
welcome
cool.
to this sport.
And I'm going to beat you. Isn't that crazy?
It's going to be a
I'm
rough one.
0-1.
Other than the obvious differences, bare knuckle relies less on volume and heavy striking due to the lack of protection on the hands. Guard play is also less viable since punches come through and around the guard much easier without gloves. Perry might have an easier time guarding shots than usual since he can have a looser guard with padding to protect him. That said, Perry doesn't use a high guard in any of his fights and routinely opens himself up to counter punches on his entries, but it works since he makes it such a dogfight and his opponents are never pure boxers.
I knocked out 2 pro boxers in the first round. This year, dumbass.
Perry's eclectic fighting background has had him preparing specifically for bare knuckle for years. On the other hand, Paul has had years to specialize in boxing with the best training and nutrition money can buy, which leads us to the keys to victory for both fighters. Assuming Paul is the better technical boxer with his background, Perry needs to be unconventional. As the shorter and lighter man, he'll need to storm into range and use his aggression and power on the inside to scare Paul into fighting his fight.
The ref stepped in because the guy didn't even know how to defend or punch back. He didn't even throw anything back at you.
With this in mind, he needs to be evasive and not play into the expectations of Paul, who is likely anticipating an aggressive opponent and looking to counterstrike at a moment's opportunity. It also wouldn't be a shock if Perry is the fitter man, as Paul bulked up to heavyweight for his original opponent Mike Tyson, and will carry more mass. If Perry can take him off rhythm, stagger his recovery and push the pace, he could exhaust Paul in the later rounds and pull away.
I'm gonna give you hell in the first and the
2
second
rounds.
round. Just wait and watch.
2 rounds.
And you're gonna
It's
get
great.
tired. You're gonna be grasping for air.
Assuming Perry will try to close the distance, Paul needs to use his height and reach advantage to plague him from range. Use a long, prodding jab to aggravate and stagger Perry's offense, and bait him into power punches such as the right cross and rear uppercut. Paul's size can also be used to his advantage. Since this is pure boxing, he'll be able to nullify any pressure from Perry by tying him up in the clinch and using his weight to wear away at his reserves.
You're gonna be grasping for air, but I'm gonna be breathing in your ear, Jake, making them noises from the Diddy party.
There are too many advantages on Paul's side to deny. He's taller, heavier, and longer, with more professional boxing experience and top-tier training. Perry is stepping outside his native sport, and the gloves will drastically reduce his chance at a Hail Mary finish. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.